We'll eat the rest of the bag. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, everybody. It seems like a while since I've been up here, but back. And we have some new faces. And hello to everyone watching online. We're glad that you are able to watch online. Anyway, so we, in the last 2 weeks, today marks 3 weeks, we've been talking about what? What's our topic? Anxiety. Stress, anxiety, right? Yes. So last week, Diane spoke about how God designed us to be part of a group, our family group, and to kind of build a circle within our family and maybe a few close friends that we care about and we know they care about us, that we can go to when we're feeling anxious about something, right? People we trust. So I know right now your minds are spinning. You should all have a picture or names in your mind right now of people that you have or you know that you can go to within your family or really close friends that you trust that wouldn't go bleh. You know, after you told them what is bothering you, that they wouldn't just go and tell other people and make drama about it, okay? So this week, we're going to continue, and then we have one more week after this week on our anxiety series, okay? And the reason, too, we're God led us to this series is, one, the time we're in. It's kind of timely, right? We could be feeling anxious about lots of different things, especially since in the past year with COVID and, yes, the pandemic. But also, we don't want this to come across as like you have, not that you have to feel anxious, but some of us, luckily, fortunately, haven't really experienced true anxiety, and that's okay as well. So we don't want you to feel like, oh gosh, if I haven't felt anxiety toward anything yet, then it's coming. No, that might not be the case. Okay? You could be fortunate. You could be fortunate enough to never really experience true anxiety or a panic attack, and that's okay. But it's good to learn about this anyway, so that if you have a friend or a loved one that struggles with this or is experiencing this type of anxiety, that you have learned through this series of how you can help them cope or direct them to somebody to talk to, okay? So we don't want to feel like this is forced on you, that that you are going to have anxiety at some point in your life. No, that's not truth, okay? You don't have to live waiting for something bad to happen or something that's going to cause anxiety. No, because God has given us a spirit, what? Not of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, okay? So you are able, right, with Him, right? Everything is everything is possible with Him. You are able to walk through this life free, right? Free from fear, free from the anxieties and stress of this world. Okay, so today we are going to listen and read in the Bible probably 2 stories that you are familiar with, 2 hopeless. They seem hopeless, like hopeless situations and stories. Okay, but before we do that, could we show the video, Taylor?
I think for me, it was realizing that, like, in certain situations that I didn't have the tools to properly combat it. And so when I would get anxious, I would just have to ride it or just, be consumed by it. And that would be really hard.
I was having a hard time just even going to school and making it through the day, and my mom wasn't sure what to do either.
I have really bad flying anxiety, and people will be like, oh, like just take a nap, go to sleep or something, but it's like, I can't do that because I'm so anxious.
Sometimes we experience anxiety that makes it harder to perform our best. Anxiety that is out of proportion to the source of stress we experience leaves us feeling overwhelmed or stuck. When these feelings become more than we can handle on our own, it's okay to seek professional help.
Can I talk about my own experience? So I just did a Google search and looked up therapists near me, or Christian therapists near me, because I wanted a Christian therapist. But then also I contacted a friend whose church had like a directory of resources in the area, and it happened that the Google search was also one of the resources that the church offered. So that's how I found therapy.
A couple of years ago, there was this really big stigma of Black women specifically going to therapy. We were painted as this picture of, no, you are the superhero, you're the strong woman, you don't need this, you don't need this, you can do this. I had a really crazy moment happen, and I'd called my mom, and I was crying my eyes out, and I was like, Mom, I think I need to go to therapy. And she was like, great. Without me even knowing, my mom, early in my childhood, actually went to therapy.
For me, I asked a family friend who was a therapist, who's like connected with the network, and she had a contact, and so I ended up making an appointment with that guy, and I really liked him.
So my very first experience of therapy, I didn't like, because it felt very like, it felt a little stuffy, and I didn't feel comfortable.
I got lucky and I stuck with the first person I was given. I mean, I remember the first couple sessions being like, let's get to know you. Therapy, in a lot of ways, is about giving you tools.
At first, I was very, very nervous. We had like a consultation. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I need to wear? What do I have to say? What questions do I need to bring in? But immediately when I got into the room, I felt like this just weight dropped off of me.
I felt relieved. I felt like I was finally going to be able to understand what I go through and like get the tools necessary to combat it, because I was really beat down by like what I was going through.
I was 17 when I first started seeing a therapist, and it is one of the most life-changing things that could have happened to me at that time, for insight, for healing, for just hope for the future.
Yeah, therapy saved my life. And allowed me to grow, allow me to change, and allow me to accept the things that I had in me that I did not feel like I could have accepted without it. So it truly saved my life. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to get help.
Commit to it and you'll be in a better place than you were however so many days ago, hours ago, weeks ago. So
I had such a hard time in middle school and in high school. I had so much anxiety, and from going to therapy, it changed my life, and I now live a life I never knew was possible for myself. I'm so grateful for that, and I want everyone to know that that's possible for them. And you're not alone, and you're never alone, and there's always someone that you can talk to. Always, always.
If you have a friend that's in therapy, I would say the best thing you can do is just support them. Don't try to belittle them. Don't say, oh, you don't need this. Like, say like you're doing the right thing, or like, you're doing something that's gonna really help you. That goes a long way.
I had a lot of friends who wanted to, get in there with me, which was great at certain moments of that time. Give them space if they need space.
What works for you might not work for your best friend, even if you're similar in every other way.
If they want to talk about it, be a listening ear. Especially with men in American society, it's really hard to talk about that stuff. And so when you do, it becomes more of a normal conversation. It's good, it destigmatizes it.
Okay, so you see today we're going to talk about, Diane, last week I said, talked about having your family and close friends, but we're going to talk about expanding that circle to professional helpers. If you feel or your parents or somebody in your family feel like the next step would be to talk to somebody professionally, that this is what we're going to address today, okay? But before we go on, I just want to go over the difference between worry and anxiety, okay? Because some of us might be thinking, well, how do I know when I'm worrying about something? Is that anxiety? Is that, what they're talking about? But there is a difference between worry and anxiety. So worry is temporary. There's concerning situation, right? Like right now. So worry, there's a concerning situation that you worry about. Worry prods you or makes you, or kind of helps you use problem-solving skills to address your concerns, okay? Anxiety is persistent, even when concerns are unrealistic. It often compromises your ability to function, okay? So do you see the difference now? Worry is temporary. You might worry about something, you might worry about a test, you might worry about COVID, but then you are able to come up with problem-solving skills to help you. Anxiety is different. It kind of completely shuts your body down at times, and it's persistent, it's constant. Like if you heard the girl in the video, somebody said, well, just take a nap. And she's like, I can't nap, right? So do you see the difference where anxiety like completely takes you off course, and it changes the way you think, it changes your life, it changes your daily just your daily walk, okay? So in our two stories today, oh, I pressed the wrong button here then. Okay, life in a hurting world, yeah. We definitely, oh, sorry. Okay, no. Sorry, there we go. Okay. I guess I'm the only one who finds that funny. All right, so two hopeless situations in the Bible, all right? Luke 8, verses 40 through 56. Here's the first story. When Jesus returned, the crowd welcomed him, for they had been waiting for him. A man named Jairus, who was a synagogue leader, came and fell at Jesus' feet. He pleaded with Jesus to come to his house because his only daughter, a 12-year-old, was dying. As Jesus moved forward, he faced smothering crowds. A woman was there who had been bleeding for 12 years. She had spent her entire livelihood on doctors, but no one could heal her. She came up behind him and touched the hem of his clothes, and at once her bleeding stopped. Have you heard of these two stories in the Bible before? Or maybe one of them? Who touched me? Jesus asked. When everyone denied it, Peter said, Master, the crowds are surrounding you and pressing in on you. Like, how are we supposed to answer that question? We don't know. But Jesus said, someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me. When the woman saw that she couldn't escape notice, she came trembling and fell before Jesus. In front of everyone, she explained why she had touched him and how she had been immediately healed. Daughter, your faith has healed you, Jesus said. Go in peace. While Jesus was still speaking, someone came from the synagogue leader's house, saying to Jairus, your daughter has died. Don't bother the teacher any longer. When Jesus heard this, he responded, don't be afraid. Just keep trusting, and she will be healed. When he came to the house, he didn't allow anyone to enter with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's father and mother. They were all crying and mourning for her, but Jesus said, don't cry. She isn't dead. She's only sleeping. They laughed at him because they knew she was dead. Taking her hand, Jesus called out, "Child, get up." Her life returned, and she got up at once. He directed them to give her something to eat. Her parents were beside themselves with joy, but he ordered them to tell no one what had happened. Okay, so two completely different situations, right? But both hopeless, right? One woman had issues of bleeding for 12 years, practically the entire life of the girl. The girl was only 12, correct? And then the other hopeless situation was this little girl was dying and then died before Jesus could get to her. Okay? But in each situation, what was there anything that the woman with the issue of blood, or the father coming to Jesus, were they in control of anything? Right? They couldn't, like the woman said, what did she try to do before she touched Jesus' cloak? The woman with the issue of blood. She had tried to see doctors for help, right? Nobody could help her. And then the little girl, right? The dad came pleading to Jesus, right? So both of them knew the only way that they would be healed would be what? To reach out to Jesus, right? Okay. So what did Jesus do when both of these situations presented themselves? He stopped, right? In the story, it said he was trying to get somewhere, right? It didn't tell us where, but he was on his way, probably to another town to preach. Like, he was always in the will of his Father. So he wasn't just aimlessly walking around and crowds of people just following. No, he had to be somewhere. That was probably important, but never too important for Jesus. You are never, nothing is ever too important for him to stop in his tracks for you. Okay? Jesus stops in his tracks, right? He was walking along and wait, who touched me? And the disciples were kind of like, oh, come on. Are you kidding? There's crowds of people. There's thousands of people around you. Let's go. Come on, I can just hear him. I don't know Jesus. Maybe her, maybe him. Let's go. Come on. But no, he would not leave and not move until he found out who touched him, right? Because he felt power leave him, which means he knew whoever touched him was healed. Okay? So Jesus stopped in his tracks. He's never too busy for you. And you might think that sometimes, right? Like the woman. Did the woman right away say, it was me? No. Why do you think she didn't let Jesus know right away it was her? Think about her issue, the issue of bleeding. Okay, so let's be real here. It has to do with her menstrual cycle, right? But a normal menstrual cycle, we all know this, boys too, right? It's 5 to 7 days, and then you get a lot of time off in between. But hers was constant for 12 years. So how do you think this made her feel? Embarrassed. Uncomfortable. Right? And then in both stories, you notice, was there any mention about a friend with the woman or family members with the woman? No. Why do you think this might be? Because she probably didn't have any family with her or friends. Okay. Maybe the issue of the blood, of the bleeding, maybe for a Jew that was like, huh. It might have pushed her family away. Her family might have disowned her. She might have had to be living all alone, no friends, right? People may have looked very differently toward her because of this issue. She was all alone. Okay, so immediately she's not going to say, it was me. She was probably known in that town for, you're that lady with the issue of the blood. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, but then we think about Jairus, right? And his daughter. We hear of family, right? The dad came pleading for Jesus, and then there were friends at the house already mourning and gathering together. So we have this woman all alone, and then we have this little girl who had support from her family. Okay? But Jesus stops in his tracks, even for this woman. And he wants you to know that no matter how old or young you are, a person is, no matter how hopeless things seem, no matter what everyone else thinks, when you're hurting, you're Jesus's top priority. Oops. Okay. You are. And you might think, how does he know me, right? There's billions of people living on this earth. But that's God, right? All-knowing, all-powerful. You are his top priority. That's how much he loves you. Okay? So the woman, she physically needed healing, right? When she touched Jesus' cloak, her bleeding stopped. Hallelujah, right? That should be whoo. But physical healing isn't going to solve all of your problems, if that's what's causing you anxiety, or it didn't solve all of her problems. It's when she connected, when she reached out and said, it's me, Jesus. It was me. It's when she connected to Jesus and talked with him that she experienced peace. Do you remember what Jesus said back to her when she said, it's me, Jesus?
I think she stopped. He stopped and healed her.
Yep. And do you remember what he said? Your faith has healed you. Go in peace. Right? So it's more than just a physical healing. Our emotional well-being has to be healed. And that only comes when we have a relationship with Jesus. When we reach out to him, like when she reached for that cloak, she knew she needed Jesus that much. She had tried everything else. She had tried doctors. She's probably tried herbal remedies and things her friends have told her. But it wasn't until she physically reached for Jesus and connected with him emotionally, then she was truly healed. And that's what we have to do, right? We can't rely on the things of this world or what they say will help us. We have to connect and reach for Jesus. Okay, so this is what he says. I'm sorry, I should have put this up before. Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. Wouldn't it be nice to have peace all the time, right? But we can. We talked about that. Sorry, I'm skipping over some of these. She was probably embarrassed, we said. Okay. Then we see in verse 49, we're going to switch to the little girl. While Jesus was still speaking, someone came from the synagogue leader's house saying, oh, Jairus, guess what? Your daughter has died. Don't even bother trying to bring Jesus anymore. Okay? All right, so how do people react to the sick woman and to the girl's father? So that difference. Often, people around us, our family, our friends, they can miss their cue. Sometimes there's like lights shining at them, right? Help, help, and they miss that. They don't see you hurting. They don't see you with their issues because maybe, they're trying to run a household. So sometimes they can miss their cue to stop and pay attention to us or to you. And we can all get distracted by our busyness or by what the world or culture says is important and not see how someone is feeling. Even our friends around us, right? How many times do we really stop and look at our friends and say, I know they're hurting. How can I help them? Or do we sometimes say, I know they're hurting, but they'll be okay. And we kind of go on with our day or our busyness, right? Yeah. In both the women's story and the girl's story, Jesus has to remind even his closest friends, the disciples, that hurting people are his top priority, that he will stop in his tracks, and that's what he wants us to do. Right? When we see our friends, stop in our tracks and really help them. Okay. So both the sick woman and the dead girl's father, they needed to leave their homes, correct?
Yeah.
They needed to leave their homes and go for help. The same is true for us. Sometimes we have to stop in our tracks and we have to reach out for help. All right, so we talked about this in the beginning. Anxiety. Anxiety is something where it's persistent and you feel over and over and over again. And if we try to ignore that, instead of listening to it, it can turn into feeling hopeless, right? Hopelessness. It can turn into depression. And most of the time, if you haven't experienced depression, right? Thank you, Jesus. But if you have had a friend who's gone through depression or a family member, they want to be alone. They want to be isolated. That's one of the cues of depression. And then it becomes a cycle, right? Because when you're alone and you want to be alone, do you get the help that you need? No. Do you allow people to reach out and try to help you?
Yeah.
No. Well, you should, right? But you don't. So it's like a vicious cycle. Then you're more alone. Then you sink deeper into hopelessness and depression, right? Do you see how that can work? But think about what would happen instead of keeping things to yourselves. In those moments when you feel hopeless, you reach out, okay? To get more help, yes. But one thing before we talk about getting more help is breathe. I do this with my kids in school. And I know Taylor touched upon it real quick. But sometimes just settling down our mind and our body, like when we're, I've never, thank the Lord, experienced an anxiety or a panic attack, but I have had friends and family members that have, and the way they describe it is like a racing heart. They can't catch their breath. They can't keep their mind from fixating on the issue or the problem. So then it just makes them panic more and get all more worked up. Okay? So I want us to try this. Breathe. And I love that song. Have you heard that song in K-Lover, everyone? I don't want to sing it. Just breathe, right? Just breathe. One technique is when you breathe in slowly and you let it out slowly, your body begins to relax. And that actually plays a trick on your brain. It's proven. It's really simple, and it's a way to trick your body and your brain to shift gears and get yourself into relaxation mode. Okay, so we're going to practice this. So when you begin to worry, or you begin to feel your heart race, or you can't catch your breath, and you're starting to really focus on that problem, okay, you have to just breathe. Ready? So you're going to go in through your nose, out through your mouth, and you just keep doing that until you feel your body relax, and you're tricking your body and your brain. And when you breathe, you need to stop focusing on that problem, and you need to focus on who? God, right? And there's one of my favorite verses in the Bible. Psalm 46, verse 10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Right? Be still. Breathe. Focus on Him. Be still and know that no matter what, He is God. He is in control. You are His top priority. He loves you, and it's going to be okay. He will take care of you. Just breathe, and breathe Him in and push that problem right out. Okay, it can be a bit strange at first, right? But my kids love it now. When I would be like, okay, I say their engines, we do the breathing technique not because they have anxiety issues, but because their little 6 and 7-year-old bodies get like wound up over I don't know what, but they just get wound. And then I'm like, okay, all right, ready? We're going to breathe. And they would look at me like, what do you mean, Mrs. Roberts? So when I taught them the technique, breathe in and out, they were like, But now they love it. They love it. And even one little boy knows when he starts to get a little worked up, he's like, I have to breathe, Mrs. Roberts. I have to breathe. And I'm like, you're right. Let's breathe. Okay, so just a little trick. You don't ever have to handle feelings of anxiety, sadness, or depression on your own. We want you to know that. Okay, you have your family, you have your friends, and if you feel like finding a therapist or a counselor to talk to, somebody, a professional, we encourage you to look for a Christian. Somebody like all of the people on their video that you saw spoke to Christian counselors, people who will direct you in truth of the Bible and speak life into you. Okay, we encourage very much. If you are to seek help outside of your family and friends and quest leaders, we would direct you in the path of finding a Christian counselor. Okay. Also, if you or a friend, maybe this is more toward a friend, if you've ever feel like harming yourself, or they have told you, I feel like harming myself, or I'm harming myself, and you're really, really concerned, there's a hotline you can call, okay? Or you come directly to Jeremy, Diane, Taylor, Jordan, or I to talk to, please. We're always here to help you. Okay, and the last thing, look up, look inside, and look around. Look up, right? What's look up mean? Look up, right? We pause in the midst of our anxious thoughts, and we look up and we seek God's help. We seek Him, and we seek encouragement through the Bible and what the Word says. And by talking with others who share our same beliefs, okay? Look inside. Oh, let me go back. I thought it was. Look inside means you take a good look at yourself and you reflect on the good things God has done for you. Sometimes we can kind of get in a rut and just think of, bad and bad and bad and bad and bad, right? But take a look inside and look and see what God has done for you, what He's given you, and focus on those things. And lastly, look around. Take a good look at our anxious world, right? Our world is anxious. It's hurting. It's filled with lots of anxious and hurting people. Okay, and you might have to step out and ask for help, and that's okay. You have us leaders, you have your family, your friends, and we can all help you if you need. Or if you come to us worried about a friend who's going through any type of anxiety issues. Okay, don't be afraid to stop and help, all right? And also, last thing before we're going to split up real quick into small groups, and I have the questions, we'll put the questions up on the screens, but I just want to, Pastor touched upon the verse in the Bible about being equally yoked. And I just want to real quickly share that if you are one to experience anxious feelings or worry a lot, I want you to check and see who your circle is of friends and who you are surrounding yourself with. Who's in your circle? Are they people that are going to bring you down? Are they people that are going to feed into your worry and anxiousness? Or are they people that can speak into your life, that can walk alongside with you? Oh, darn it. Thank you. I didn't pause it. There. Okay? Because we want to, we're not asking you to only find Christian friends. No. But you want to find people that are going to speak life into you and to bring joy in your life. Not always be around people who are complaining and worrying and are going to bring you down, because the more you're with that type of attitude, at least for me, the more I'm with people that complain and are worrying about this and that, I tend to feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, right? I leave and I'm like, oh. So I encourage you, I know it's hard, but you might think you're the only Christian, but you're not. But try to keep friends in your circle that are going to bring you peace, that are going to help you, or that are going to encourage you, not always bring you down. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, so we're going to have the boys go in the back. Pick your chair up and just go back with Jeremy and Taylor. Jeremy, could you put the questions up? And the girls will kind of come over here to where Kalani is. So Claire and Elena, and we will be right back. So the main thing today we take away is we want you to know that it's okay. It's okay to come and talk to somebody to get help. It's okay. You don't need to feel embarrassed. You need to reach out first to Him, right? Look up, pray, be in relationship with Him, okay? And reach out and get help and just to talk. Okay, so we hope you have a great week. We love you. We always are praying for you. Go out and be a blessing this week to your teachers and friends in school. And we love you. Enjoy your week. Goodbye.